Locked On Podcast Network presents Locked On Sports Today.
It's opening day, and we are all baseball today. Shohei Otani dominated the offseason and now spring training. Who else will join him as the focal point this year? Also, we give you the picks for the American League and the National League, plus why the defending World Series champions are the third best team in their own division this year. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. New customers join today and you'll get $200 in bonus bets if your first bet of $5 or more wins. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. I'm Peter Bukowski, starting your day with the can't-miss stories and biggest debates in sports. You're Locked On Sports Today.
Searching all major sports. Found.
Let's start with the biggest story.
Baseball is back. Well, unless you're a Mets fan and you're already rained out on opening day. But for everyone else, baseball is back. And of course, Brewers fans who wanted to play, but they're not going to be able to either. Baseball is a slog, but we get to be excited on opening day for sure. And so we always have someone who never be rained out. Sully from Locked On Major League Baseball, never rained out, always brings the excitement. He's always our ace starter. And Sully, as we head into this 2024 season, no shortage of topics already to discuss when it comes to baseball.
Oh, yeah.
So what do you have your eye on here as we head into this season?
Okay, the Otani situation, which sounds like a spy novel and has been reading like either an Ocean's 11 movie or like the biggest con artist we've seen in a long time. Yeah. I've done many episodes on it this week. I have made many enemies because I've pointed out that the Otani camp has delivered two completely contradictory stories within 24 hours. Yeah. I don't know why that's suspicious. I have a feeling that if they stuck to one story, the story would be over by Friday. If it would have been,
already be over. If they were just like, yeah, this is what happened. Okay.
Yeah, all right, fine. Either one of the two stories happened. Either Otani covered his buddy's bets, or this guy is a diabolical con artist who managed to wire funds from Otani's account. Well, whatever that happened, okay. How this will affect the LA Dodgers, I don't know if it will affect it either way. I think what will affect the Dodgers even more than any bets placed by Shohei Otani's interpreter / diabolical criminal mastermind is the fact that you could argue the Dodgers have the fourth best starting rotation in the National League West. You take a look at the starting pitching. Mm-hmm. The Arizona Diamondbacks already had Zach Gallen, who's a legitimate Cy Young contender. They've already have a solid rotation that they introduced Eduardo Rodriguez to, and now they introduced Jordan Montgomery, not Mike Montgomery, who closed the World Series for the Cubs in 2016. That would not be his biggest story. Jordan Montgomery. Even if Montgomery doesn't come back right away, they got Merrill Kelly as well. That's a terrific rotation. The Giants have a terrific rotation, and that will allow them to bring Blake Snell back, and they already had a solid rotation going into it. And San Diego may have lost Snell, but they added Cease, who you could argue is a better piece than Snell at this point because he had a freaking spring training. And they still have Yu Darvish. They still have Joe Musgrove. They still have a good starting rotation. So everyone is writing the Dodgers in for 100 wins, and they're the prohibitive favorites. They're certainly the most star-studded team. Put your betting on that. But you take a look at the teams that will go far in the postseason. They're going to be the ones that have the best and deepest pitching staffs. And lest we forget, the Arizona Diamondbacks are the defending National League champions who improved their rotation, who improved their infield, and improved their outfield. They have some of the best young players in all of baseball, Carroll and Marte, and they've got a tidal wave of young talent that's about to come up. And, they went to the World Series last year. So I don't think the Dodgers are going to go to the World Series this year. I think they have the most star power, but they have the most star power each of the last few years too. And teams like San Diego beat them, Atlanta beat them, and Arizona beat them last year. A few years ago, Washington beat them. So there's always someone who pulls the rug out from under them. So I think that the pitching staff of the other NL West teams are going to be a much bigger threat to them than any dark cloud hanging over from Shohei Otani.
Yeah, the Diamondbacks right now 35-1 to win the World Series. They are way down on the list. I mean, they're behind the Rays, the Blue Jays, the Mariners, the Twins. They have the same odds to win the World Series as the Chicago Cubs do right now.
No, that's insane. That
seems crazy to me. So go get your money with the Diamondbacks right now. Keep up with the biggest stories in baseball by subscribing to Locked On Sports Today and Locked On MLB on your favorite podcast app and on YouTube. Thanks for making Locked On Sports Today your first listen. Coming up, we give you our picks for the American League and National League. Before we get to that, we go around the diamond for some in-depth looks at the most interesting teams this year. Whether you're at the ballpark or on your couch, get into the action on the diamond with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Keeping an eye on the pitching matchup, looking for the home dog, FanDuel always has ways to play this season. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 to use on run lines, money lines, over-unders, and more. You can even combine prop bets on things like strikeouts and home runs to increase your payout. The San Francisco Giants and San Diego Padres are paired for a close battle in the Padres home opener. FanDuel thinks it's so close that whoever you pick on the money line, they're -108. Yu Darvish on his second start of the season makes San Diego an interesting play in this one. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and bet on baseball all season long. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day? Have to turn down the volume with all that shouting? Make the switch to Locked On Sports today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you the can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. There are more than just the Dodgers to pay attention to this season, starting with the other best team in the National League, the Atlanta Braves. Is it World Series or bust for the Bravos?
This is a team that comes into this season with a lot of expectations, one particular expectation, I should say, and that's to win the whole thing. So we're going to see if the Atlanta Braves of 2024 can get that job done.
Yeah, absolutely. That is where we are at with this organization. Credit to the front office, everything that they've done. But it feels good as a fan, and I'm definitely a fan in that category, to go into a year where your team is expected to win a World Series. Their goal is to win a World Series. It's no longer just get to the postseason. It's to win a World Series. And so I'm excited for this year coming up for the Braves. Like you said, I'm excited to get to some real games. This spring training for the Braves, other than the Jared Kelenic stuff, Chris Sale, a little scare from Ron Acuna Jr. Look, this lineup has been set for weeks now, it feels like. And I am ready to get to some real games where these stats count.
The Yankees have had a heck of a time getting to opening day.
Baseball Reference came out with predictions for the season and how they think teams are going to do. And is something wrong with their system? Because they have the Yankees finishing with the third worst record in the AL at 71-91. Did I time travel back to the early 90s? And if I did, can I do everything over again? Because I would love to go back and do everything over again. Otherwise, what on earth is happening with their system? 71-91? I feel like the Yankees could, let me hold on. I feel like the Yankees could lose their entire rotation and still not finish 71-91. 71-91? The Yankees haven't been that bad in over 30 years.
The Astros begin the post-Dusty Baker era.
This is a new era of Astros baseball. This is a new era of the Houston Astros with Joe Espada. And Joe Espada's got a lot of pressure on him. There's a lot of people that are saying things on Twitter, if he doesn't go to the ALCS, he should get fired. I'm like, that's ridiculous. So Joe Espada's got a lot of pressure on him. This whole team, though, I think has been there, done that, and I think their experience is going to win over. Dude, that top six, have you seen it? That is a murderer's row. That is a formidable opponent. Our offense
looks. Figures it out. What if Jake Myers?
Jake Myers is going to have a breakout year, baby. I'm telling you, my boy Jake from Rake Farms is going deep, baby.
And the Diamondbacks just missed a world championship, so they went on and signed one of the pitchers who beat them.
You had yourself a fantastic offseason if you're the D-backs. I was giving the D-backs an A offseason right after, what was the last signing of the offseason? Probably Randall Grichuk. Like, I was like, after that, already an A offseason. You got 2 people to play your DH. You got Erod in your rotation. You upgraded third base. Like, every hole was filled. And the D-backs said, nah, we're not just going to fill holes. We're now going to stack talent on top of talent. And that's what this Jordan Montgomery signing was.
Sully, let's pivot here. You mentioned earlier that you're not convinced on the Dodgers. Let's flip leagues.
Well, I think the Dodgers are going to be very good. I just am not. I'm not putting the crown on their head yet. I'm not even put their crown on their head for the division at this point.
Well, and by the way, the odds makers agree with you. The Dodgers plus 320 to win the World Series. The Atlanta Braves right behind them at plus 450. I'm going to get to the Braves and the National League in a second. Let's go to the other league because we've got the Astros 7-1 to win the World Series. The Yankees 9-1. The Rangers at 14-1. The Orioles at 14-1. If I'm looking at that list. Explain to me why the Orioles are not the best bet among that group.
They're absolutely the best bet. I mean, first of all, Peter Angelos, may rest in peace, but the Orioles sale has removed the stigma of the Angelos ownership, which has been spotty let's just be kind and call it spotty.
Okay.
And one of the things that has made Oriole fans so frustrated is that they've been acting like they're a minuscule market team. And now that with a new ownership, they've already made improvements to a team that won 100 games last year.
Yes.
And whose biggest problem they had, where they sat on all of their prospects. They had a gold mine of prospects, of which there are not enough slots on the major league roster for all of them. They had a shot last year with both New York and Boston sitting last year out. So you had a chance where like the seas parted and he had a chance to win the first pennant since Return of the Jedi came out. And all of a sudden they didn't go for a pitcher there were so many pitchers, going back and forth and back and forth. Well, now the new ownership has come in. They made the deal for Burns, and they have a ton of talent who now have a year in. This kind of reminds me of the year that the Phillies, when they overtook the Mets in 2007, they got their first taste of the postseason. They got whumped, but they got their first taste of the postseason. And then by the next year, it's like, okay, we've been here, we've done that. Same thing with Kansas City when they got to the postseason via the wild card. They got to within one Madison Bumgarner relief appearance of winning it all. But by then, you have a good young nucleus. The Phillies had that in 07-08. Kansas City had that in 14-15. We had this solid nucleus of players who then say, okay, we've tasted October. Now we've got a better team moving forward. I love this Orioles team. I was extremely skeptical of Brandon Hyde when he became the manager. He has proven me wrong. I have tons of questions about the New York Yankees. I have questions about Houston. I have questions about Texas. And to me, if there's always going to be a surprise team. And I do think Seattle has very good pitching. I think they're going to be pretty good this year. I think we'll go back to the playoffs. But I think the Baltimore Orioles are a clear favorite to win the American League pennant this year. Certainly better than the other teams that we had mentioned. Of course, you can never count out Houston. But it's a new era. But Dusty's gone. It's a new era there. But I think Baltimore looks like a team that's completely ready to go.
What does October taste like, Sully?
Oh, it tastes glorious. It tastes like stale pretzels and a little bit of mustard.
And probably a little bit of whatever your favorite beer is as well in there. We talked about the Dodgers and the Braves. I mentioned them at the top. They are the prohibitive favorites to come out of the National League. No one else in the NL has better than 30-1 odds to win the World Series. If there is a team,
and I'm not picking either the Braves or the Dodgers.
Say more.
Philadelphia.
Why?
I love Philadelphia. I love that they kept their pitching staff together. I love that they're filled with stars. They were one rally away from making it back-to-back pennants. I think they're a team, and I think they made a tremendous improvement to their bullpen by exorcising Craig Kimbrell, who I think was the wrong fit for that team. I think they're going to party like it's 1983. I think the World Series is going to be Baltimore versus Philadelphia. That's my, and I have the Phillies I'm picking the Phillies to win it all. I think this is
a
Bryce
Mid-Atlantic
Harper.
World Series.
Yep, this is like 1983. Turn of the Jedi came out, and the Orioles beat the Phillies when the Phillies had the reunion of the Big Red Machine: Pete Rose, Joe Morgan, and Tony Perez. But this year, I think it flips. I think Philadelphia wins this one over Baltimore. Now, of course, I could have egg in my face, but then if I picked Arizona last year or Philadelphia the year before that, how silly would I have looked? I love the talent on Philadelphia. They've been there. They've done that. They got to within 2 wins of winning the World Series a few years ago. They almost got back last year. I love their talent. I would not surprise me to see Atlanta win the division. Like, it's the same reason. I think over 162 games, I think Los Angeles and Atlanta are going to win the most games. But I think in a short series, I love Philadelphia big time.
Well, the good news is if you have egg on your face, it'll be with a hoagie and a Rolling Rock, and it'll be wonderful. Thanks, Sully. Appreciate the time, man. Stay in the know on who is the best team in baseball by subscribing to Locked On Sports Today and Locked On MLB on your favorite podcast app and on YouTube. Coming up, the Rangers may be World Series champs, but they are third in their own division this year. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, and their best price guarantee, Gametime takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. They're obsessed with finding ways to help you save money on tickets. Gametime has deals on tickets right up to the start of the event and even an hour after it starts. It's the best place to find last-minute deals. Find exclusive flash deals and sponsored deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. With zone deals, you pick the section and Gametime picks the seats for big-time savings. And the Gametime guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Gametime will credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. For a limited time, all users get $20 off Major League Baseball purchases of $150 or more in the Gametime app with code FIRSTPITCH. Terms apply. That's code FIRSTPITCH, PITCH, for $20 off March 25th to April 14th only. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets, the lowest price guaranteed. The Texas Rangers enter the season as defending World Series champions for the first time ever. You may be wondering if they are the favorites to repeat. Well, our Locked On Mariners hosts Colby Patnode and Ty Gonzalez don't think they can even compete with the Mariners and Astros for their own division title.
I'm not saying it's not possible because it's a really good lineup. Don't get me wrong. It's a great lineup, but it's just not likely. So can they pitch enough to kind of hang with arguably the two best pitching staffs in the American League? I don't know. I'm not sure. So to me, there's a clear divide between Texas and Seattle and Houston. Like, I think there's a clear step down between the top two teams in Texas. That doesn't mean Texas can't compete for the division. It doesn't mean that they can't make the playoffs. It doesn't mean they can't do damage. It just means to me that when I look at the roster and how things sit, I'm not too sure Texas is in the same league as Seattle and Houston, at least what they could be.
The thing about the Rangers last year, no one thought they would win. No one thought they would be as good as they were midway through the season. We did episodes on this show about, the surprise Texas Rangers. And we even had the Rangers host going, yeah, I kind of don't know how they're doing it. And then they did it again the rest of the regular season. And then in the postseason, series after series, all they did was play great ball. And at the end of the year, you went, well, that wasn't the best team in baseball, but they won. They beat everyone. And that's the thing about having a trophy at the end of the year. You get to say we were the best team in baseball, even though when we watched 162 games, we went, there's no way. There's no way that's the best team in baseball. But that's the deal with the postseason. And now that this team, this version of this team won, why not again? And by the way, our friends at FanDuel agree. Yes, the Astros have shorter odds to win the title, but not the Mariners. The Rangers are right there. And so I understand, you get excited about these other teams and the Rangers weren't really the best team and they got lucky and all of that. But all that was true last year. And it was true during the regular season when they were winning. It was true in the playoffs when they were winning. And it was true in the World Series when they were winning. And then they won. And it's hard to take that away from them. It's hard to forget that happened. And so I'm not going to count out this Rangers team because I did that all summer and into the fall last year. And look what happened. So you discount the Texas Rangers at your own peril. And finally, MLB.com has conducted the season simulation for 2024 on MLB The Show. And sorry, Mariners guys, but the Rangers repeat as World Series champions. Thank you. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. They beat the Philadelphia Phillies in 6 games. Shout out Sully, who has the Phillies in the National League. The simulation had the Dodgers winning the NL West with 104 wins, but not even making the NLCS. Sorry, Shohei, the video game has spoken. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day? Have to turn down the volume with all the shouting? Make the switch to Locked On Sports today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports today brings you the can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Coming up on the next Locked On Sports today, it is March Madness Sweet 16 time, baby. So at least until tomorrow, stay locked on sports today.
Locked On Podcast Network presents Locked On Sports Today.
For more episodes of Locked On Sports Today, go to our video on demand. Click on Sports at the top of your screen. There, you'll find past episodes of Locked On Sports Today, plus other Locked On shows on demand.